Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vas. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauravata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bangam Langate Girim Yatkrupa Tamham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatharini Hare Krishna. So today we'll see verse number 6 and 7, chapter 13, Nature, Enjoyer and the Consciousness. So last verse Krishna told that the knowledge about Kshetra and Kshetragya is explained by different sages and in different Upanishads and also in the Vedanta Sutra. So now Krishna starts explaining the details. It's not full details, but at least some details of Kshetra and Kshetragya. In the verse 13.4, he explained, I will tell you the details. So this is the start of that explanation. So let's just chant this shloka. Mahabhutani ahankara.
Mahabhutani ahankaro.
Buddhir avyaktam evacha.
Buddhir avyaktam evacha.
Indriyani dashaikam cha.
Indriyani dasaikam cha.
Pancha chaindriya gochara.
Pancha chendriya gochara.
Ichha dvesha sukha dukkha.
Ichha dvesha sukham dukkham.
Sangatas chetana dhriti.
Sanghatas chetana triti.
Etak chetram samasena.
Etat chetram samasena.
Savikaram udaritam.
Savikaram udaritam.
Please chant.
Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhiravyaktam evacha indriyani dasaikam cha pancachendriya gochara ichha dvesha sukham dukkham sanghatas chetana dhriti etat kshetram samasena savikaram udaratam.
Mahabhutani ahankaro buddhiravyaktameva cha indriyani dasaikam cha pancachendriya gochara ichchadvesha sukam dukkam sangatas chetana dhritihi etat kshetram samasena savikaram udakritam.
Okay, so translation and purport. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, and the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and the convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interaction purport. From all authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns, and aphorisms of Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are 5 great elements, Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of 3 modes of material nature. Then there are 5 senses for acquiring knowledge, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Then 5 working senses, voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Then above the senses, there is the mind, which is within and which can be called as sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are 5 objects of senses, smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now the aggregate of these 24 elements is comes of subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The great 5 elements are cross representations of false ego, which in turn represent the primal stage of false ego, technically called materialistic conception or tamas buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents unmanifested stage of three modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhan. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail, along with their interactions, to study philosophy in more detail in Bhagavad Gita, summary only is given. The body is representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is non-permanent material thing. However, Kshetragya is the knower of the field. Its proprietor is different. So, this verse gives the explanation of what is the Kshetra made up of, and what its changes are, what its qualities are. So I just tried to write it down. Okay. Can you see this screen or no?
Yes, we can see then.
The white screen, right?
Yes, exactly. Knowledge, acquiring senses and everything.
Yeah. So this is what is written in this verse actually. So this verse actually 6 and 7, right? But in 13.4, Krishna said, Takshetram yatcha drukka yad vikari yataschayat. So he said, I will explain you how what is it is made up of, what are its qualities, what its changes are, and what's interactions are. So 24 elements that are explained in the 6th verse are these. This is the gross earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the subtle elements that is with our body, always mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the 3 modes, which is called pradhan. These are always acting on us, but they are much subtler. In the morning, the mode of goodness, as the day goes on, the passion, and night is generally ignorance. Of course, the great sages and devotees, they also do bhakti at night. So for them, the ignorance does not work. Then about the senses, these are the senses by which we acquire the knowledge, like seeing, hearing, smelling, touch, and tasting. And then objects, like by eyes we can see the form, by ears we hear the sound, nose is smell, skin is touch, tongue is taste. These are the objects of senses. So what we enjoy by eyes is form, what we enjoy by ears is sound, like that. And then these are the 5 working senses. So overall these are 24 elements by which this body is made up of. So this we can easily relate with our current body. This is all of us have this, and this is our field of activity. So we can see, like, all these things we can control ourselves, but why it is required to be controlled? Because of the 7th shloka, Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukha, Dukkha, Chetana, Dhruti. So all these are here. I have written here that they are on all the elements. Like we have desires, we have hatred, we have happiness, distress, so many feelings. We generally call them as feelings of the senses, or with this feeling of mind, or but those are actually the interactions. Like our mind has past images. Based on that, if there is a good experience, then the mind is happy. Then when we are happy, then we speak. So the tongue acts. Our eyes become big if we are happy. If we are sad, the eyes start crying. So these are all interactions that are happening, and the results, right? So here, main thing is consciousness also is included. Chetana. So Krishna includes the Chetana here because consciousness actually is the quality of soul, Satchit Ananda. So that Chit is the consciousness. But if the consciousness is quality of the soul, how come it gets mixed with this 24 elements? How it acts under this 24 elements? That's the difference. So for example, see, if I am sitting in a lecture or sitting in a class, in some stadium or some temple. Okay. And at that stage, my body is there. Everything, all these things are there. My body, my eyes, ear, nose, tongue, everything is there. Working senses also there. Physically, I'm sitting there. But if my if I am 100% there, then my consciousness will be in the lecture. I will be hearing the lecture. But if my mind starts wandering on some different thought, like what will happen tomorrow in the office, or if some game is going on, and if my mind of if I remember some incidents of past or my families, whatever, then immediately the interaction starts because the mind is focusing somewhere else. And then when the mind starts thinking of something different, so though I am sitting in front in temple or in the hall in front of the lecturer, still internally my mind is somewhere else. And when my mind is somewhere else, my consciousness, instead of focusing on the lecture, the consciousness gets interacted with the mind, and I start thinking, and my full focus goes on to the thoughts that are coming in my mind. So the consciousness gets mixed. So this is how the consciousness is carried away by the influence of mind, intelligence, and senses and everything. So that's why this consciousness also is included in the interactions. So as the consciousness gets involved in the mind, and then instead of hearing the lecture, it's completely focused on the thought. So I'm lost. So though I am physically there, I'm not there. My consciousness itself is not there. So many times these things happen with us, right? Sometimes we don't remember what exactly I was doing for 2 hours. If I'm checking YouTube or I'm checking Facebook or something, and I surf, and after 1 hour I notice something happen. What I am doing? I started with video of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and now I am into some cricket game. I don't know how I went there. So the social media works like that, and all the consciousness goes into that, and I lose the intelligence. I just carried away by the flow of the videos, and I land up in some a different video. So this way the consciousness gets involved in the material things, and then it gets lost. So that's why consciousness also is involved. So, but we can control our consciousness. So my intelligence, if I think, okay, no, I am sitting here to hear this lecture, so I will do that only. So even if mind goes here and there, by intelligence, by buddhi, if I can bring it back, then the consciousness will be correct. So this what I am speaking now, bringing back mind, using the intelligence, bringing the consciousness. To do that, I may sit straight, right? And I may keep my hands closed, my eyes focused, my ear only hearing what the person is saying. I don't move. So I use all my senses and everything. I control my body and focus my consciousness. So all this is what we say, the interactions of the field of activity. So by all this body is moving. And as the body moves or does something, we get different types of impression, different types of activities. And that's how the kshetra is an individual property. I can control my body the way I want if I'm in proper intelligence and proper consciousness and proper mode. So if I am mode of ignorance, though the time may be good, morning time or something, I may want to sleep, or I may want to do some activity that I am not supposed to do. Right? So in the mode may be good, but if my consciousness and intelligence is not good, then I will do the activities which I'm not supposed to do. So this way, all these elements are interacting with each other. And by interaction is through this desire and hatred and happiness and consciousness and all these things, right? So this way our body is our field of activity. Like the farmer is doing the farming activity in his field, we can consider our body as our farm, and we act in it. So whatever we do good, the results will be good. If we do bad, the results will be bad. And if the farmer does not pay attention to the field, then there will be no crops. But if he plows it well, if it seeds, he removes the weeds, he keep the seeds in watering and everything, then the crops will be good. Result will be good. Similarly, body is our kshetra in which we act, and we act according to what we discussed. This Krishna describes in the 6th verse. So this is what Krishna is explaining about this Tat Kshetra Yachacha. So contents and interactions of this field. So this is what we call as Kshetra, and there are more qualities that Krishna will tell about the Kshetra, and how the Kshetragya and the knowledge of these qualities is important in the next verses. So the next 4 verses are about those qualities. So we'll see that in maybe tomorrow, maybe in couple of days, we'll try to cover these 4 to 5 shlokas, and maybe few qualities, those are explained by Krishna. But these qualities, as here we see the feelings, and by these feelings, we acquire different qualities. If I have hatred, I get angry. So that becomes my quality. So all these emotions, what we say in general language, actually move our body or transform our field of activities. Okay, so that's why this chapter is analytical. So we have to write like this, and we have to remember, and we have to analyze how our body is working. But that is required when we purchase a house, or when we purchase when we go simple shopping to buy some fruit also, we see from where it is made up of, what is the expiry date, uh, if this can be used for 3 more days, or it cannot be used tomorrow. All these things we check, and then we buy the fruit. So when we are to understand our body, we have to do this analysis and then understand what it is made up of, how we are helplessly acting with this body, and what we are supposed to do with this body. So all this Krishna will explain in the subsequent verses, and that we will see from tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Little bit analysis and analytical and dissection. Sankhya philosophy is like this only. It's tries to break. So if you want to study more details about this, can read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, and I think Kapila Muni's teaching to Devavati, chapter 23 or 24. From there, all the details of this starts. So there is very much detailed descriptions are given. Okay, Hare Krishna. So anybody who wants to add anything?
Hare Krishna. Could you please send this to the chat?
Yeah, I will send. No problem.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
No problem. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The chart. Okay.